is my mission to help people learn to live lives that feed their souls. But if you're like most people, you are kind of oblivious to the needs of your soul or how a lack of soul care impacts your life. You may not even understand the term soul or how your soul impacts you in your life. The majority of people actually don't think much about their soul, and they're so caught up in their human experience that they forget pretty much totally that they are spiritual beings in physical bodies. And you may already realize this, but not feeding your soul is a mistake. You need to care for your soul just like you care for your body and your physical life if you want to thrive. But living a life that feeds your soul requires understanding what your soul is, right? And many people think it's the same thing as their spirit. And maybe it is, maybe it's not. So I want to explore that today with you because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this over the years. And as I've worked on different books, I have really delved into this. I went back to my notes from many years of study of the soul and the Jewish perspective on the soul, because to me, it helped me understand the soul at a deeper level. So I want to share some of that with you. I have some notes up on my computer screen, just so you know, because like I said, I was having a hard time, wrapping my head around some of the definitions and all of that. And so I had to really deep dive into terminology, and I want to share that with you. And so I do have notes up on my screen. So let's start with what is the soul. Your soul is the spiritual part of you. It gives your body life, your physical body life. And when you transition from physical back to spiritual, when you die, your soul leaves the temporary home known as the physical body. That's why scientists and physicians have observed that a dead body weighs less than an alive body. Now, we are indeed spiritual beings having a physical experience rather than physical beings having a spiritual experience. That's an important distinction, right? Because if we were physical beings having a spiritual experience, then the physical part would be the most important, but that's not the case. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. But what is the spirit, and how does it relate to our soul, right? Because the word spirit lies at the root of spiritual, as well as the word spirituality, right? So let's delve into what the difference is here. So the dictionary tells us that spirit is, number one, the principle of conscious life, the vital principle in humans animating the body or mediating between body and soul. Notice the word soul there. The second definition is the incorporeal part of humans. I never can spell that. Anyway. And the third is the soul is regarded as separating from the body at death. Okay. So we have to stop and consider the difference between spirit and soul. The words are right there in the definitions, right? They appear in the definition, but they're used sometimes synonymously, right? Spirit, soul, we kind of interchange them. And like I said, I've struggled to understand the difference, if any, between these two words. So they're synonymous yet distinct and different. Okay, so let's look at the dictionary definition of soul. There are a lot of different definitions. It's the principle of life, feeling, thought, and action in humans regarded as a distinct entity, separate from the body and commonly held to be separable in existence from the body. Spiritual part of humans as distinct from the physical part. So we have the soul and we have the physical body, right? Second definition is the spiritual part of humans regarded in its moral aspect, or is believed to survive death and be subject to happiness or misery in a life to come. So that is related to the afterlife. The third definition is the disembodied spirit of a deceased person. So the soul is the disembodied spirit of the deceased person. So see here, it's being used interchangeably. The fourth definition is the emotional part of a human nature, the seat of the feelings or sentiments. So now the soul becomes the emotions, which is why a lot of people talk about gut feelings, right? The fifth definition is a human being, a person is a soul. So our physical being is, our humanity is equated to being a soul. That makes some sense to me because we are a soul embodied in a physical body. That's in humanness. Sixth definition is high-mindedness, noble warmth of feeling, spirit, or courage. And the seventh is the animating principle, the essential element or part of something. Okay, so these definitions make it clear that spirit and soul are separate from, but vital to, physical human body. But while neither spirit or soul represent the physical part of the human being, they're both the thing that animates the body during life and leaves the body when we die. Okay? So there's a distinction in these definitions between spirit and soul by stating that spirit lends consciousness to the physical body while soul gives it feeling, emotions, and thoughts, right? You have to be conscious. To be conscious, you have to have awareness and mental capacity, your thoughts. Additionally, you have to, the spirit's job involves mediating the soul and the bodies, separating spirit and soul then. Anyway, very confusing. So in my attempt to get clearer about the soul, I actually went to a bunch of different rabbis. I contacted them virtually to understand and distinguish the two terms. So I looked for some Jewish definitions. Why? Because I'm raised Jewish, but also a lot of my understanding of mysticism has come out of Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition. I find that it makes a lot of sense. And of course, it's part of the foundation of most religions out there, most Judeo-Christian religions. Anyway, so according to the Jewish mystical tradition known as Kabbalah or Kabbalah, the soul consists of 5 different levels. And I found this to be helpful. So the soul is one, but has 5 different levels. Simplest definition comes from, and I'm going to use some Hebrew terms here, but I'll tell you what they mean. So there are 5 levels. I'm starting at the highest level, the 5th and highest level, which is known as Yechida. And it's the part of the soul that experiences being one with God. So it is this part of the soul that is one with God. That, there is unity. It's a place of unity. So this is our connection to God, or to whatever you want to call God. The next level down, the 4th level, is called Chaya, which means life, and it's associated with providing the essential vitality or life force. So at this level of the soul, we have direct insight to perceive God's continual recreation of the world. So this is where we have the perception of God as the creator, and we're co-creating, right? Because we're one with God. The 3rd level is Neshama. Neshama means soul. So this is actually the part known as soul in mysticism, and is described as the breath of life that God breathed into the first human. And so it's associated with providing vitality and intelligence as well. Ruach is the second level. So, down from the 5 levels, and it translates as spirit. So we have soul, neshama or neshama, and we have ruach, which is spirit. And ruach or spirit is associated with the vitality of one's emotional life. So whereas neshama is the intelligence, ruach is emotions. And then the last level is called Nephesh, and that's the first level of the soul, and it's associated with providing a human being's physical vitality. So it equates to our behavior and our, the blood and everything that gives us, enlivens us. but it's also defined as the soul in general. So again, it's very confusing, but this breakdown of the levels makes sense to me. And that's why I wanted to share it with you today. I believe that Yechida, the top level, is the aspect of the soul that can actually perceive a oneness with God as a memory of the unity that exists at all times, before birth, during life, and after death. I think that Yechida, which again is the oneness, is the divine spark, as it were, the ultimate source of the soul that, it's the life force, but it's this spark of divinity, right? So we were created in the image of God. This is not really the image, but this is it. We have this soul within us that is one with God. The next level, Chaya, gives the body life and the awareness of creation and co-creation. It actually means living. So it is the life force, although Nephesh is also life force. So little difference though, in that Chaya is awareness of creation and co-creation. So it's that aspect of us that still we're connected to God, to the creator, created, and we have that spark of the creator within us, and we're aware of creation happening and that we are creators, right? And that's part of what's giving us life. Neshama gives the body consciousness and intelligence, right? So it's the intellect. Okay, so we had Yechida, which is life force. We have Chaya, which means living, right? And the creation and co-creation. We have Neshama, which is intellect. And then we have Ruach, which is emotions, gives the body emotions and the essential ingredients of who we are, which is our spirit. So if we're going to look at where is soul and where is spirit, part of the soul is spirit. Right? That's Ruach, the emotions. So our spirit comes up through our emotions, right? Now, together, Ruach, spirit, and Neshama, soul, are this life force in man, according to this model. But it's also about character development and how your mind and brain are working, okay? Now, Nephesh, the lowest level, gives the body its physical energy and its behavioral traits. But it is supposedly the basic life force, but it's consciousness, okay? It's consciousness. So you can see, even in this model, there's a lot of confusion, right? So let's go back to our conversation about, are the words spirit and soul interchangeable? I suppose they may be, but I consider the soul to include all 5 parts of the soul that we just discussed. And all 5 aspects of the soul provide the human body with animating qualities of one sort or another. So I see the aspects making up the whole package of what we call soul, and spirit being part of that. Okay. I believe they could be interchanged, but that spirit is part of the soul. So when our soul enters the body, we are given a spirit, that emotional side, and the how we respond to things, all of that. So very confusing. I know. I'm just trying to make as much sense of it as I can for myself and for you, and to give you something to think about, especially since, and myself, something to think about. If we're going to live a life that feeds our soul, we have to understand the soul. And I like the fact that the soul has different levels. All of them are enlivening us. All of them are bringing in that part of us that is connected to the creator and that gives us life, right? I do believe that I'm created in so-called God's image. Not that I look like God. It's not my physical body that is like God, but rather that my body contains the spark of God, that spark within the soul, right? In addition, I believe the soul is connected to God. I imagine God to be in all things at all times. Thus, creator is my soul, and that soul is in my body, which is also of God. So I'm connected to creator, but my intellect and conscious mind don't always remember this truth. We forget this. When our soul comes into this world, when it enters the physical body into the womb, when conception happens, the soul remembers everything. And in Jewish tradition, it's taught by an angel everything it needs to know. And then at birth, the angel taps it right here. That's why you have a little indentation, they say. And you forget it all because you need to have the experience of life. When you learn the lessons again through experience, you will remember them better. And so that's why sometimes you have the sense that you know something because you were taught it before and now you're just remembering. But we forget all of this because as physical beings, we get so caught up in survival and keeping ourselves alive and well and happy and our needs met, living up to expectations, doing what we're supposed to do, all that stuff that we forget we're divine beings connected to God, connected to Creator, created in the Creator's image. We're co-creators with God. We don't recall that we are spiritual beings having this physical experience. Yet we do have some distant memory of this, and the memory keeps us longing for that connection, that oneness with the Creator and with our soul. And that's what I'm all about, is I want us to remember the soul. I want us to remember that connection with the spiritual part of ourselves and to live in a way that continually advances our consciousness of Creator and created and allows us to live in alignment with that and to allow our soul to guide us and to care for that soul. The way we do that, the way we do that is with personal and spiritual growth. That work we're doing on ourselves as human beings, as well, in order to remember who we are as spiritual beings and to get out of the way of whatever's stopping us from having that memory and that connection to our soul. When we can do that work, it leads us back to the soul, to an experience of it, and to the ability to lead a soulful life. So we have to, as humans, we accumulate so much baggage and so much stuff in terms of stories and interpretations that we have about our lives and about events and about people, that it takes a little bit of work to grow beyond that. That's where spiritual and personal growth come in, because you have to work on yourself, as we say, to get out of your way so that you can have this experience of your soul, understand your soul, connect with your soul, and begin to live a life that is guided by your soul, because your soul chose to be here in this body. You came in with a purpose, with gifts, and with lessons to learn. The more connected you are to your soul, the greater the possibility of fulfilling all of that, fulfilling your potential as a human being. Sorry for all the little bells. For fulfilling your potential as a human being and as a spiritual being. So with all that said, I know that was a lot. I don't know how much sense all of it made. It doesn't always make sense to me. As I said, I'm trying to make sense out of it, but hopefully it gave you some new perspectives, some new ways to think about the soul and how to live a life that feeds your soul. So with that said, I will just say thank you for watching this video or reading the blog post that's associated with it. I am Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I feel like it is my purpose to try to make sense of difficult concepts that allow us to progress, to transform, to expand our consciousness, and to share that with you. So even if I'm struggling with it, I still like to share it and to get your feedback. And I would love to have you give me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about spirit and soul. I know Christians have some very distinct feelings about it or beliefs about it. Obviously, Jews do too. And, in spiritual realms, we all have our thoughts about this, and I'd love to hear them all. So leave me a comment down below. As I said, I am known as the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I love helping people get from where they are to where they want to go without anything standing in the way, specifically you, your human self. I like to help people combine their purpose, their soul's purpose, with their passion, so they get inspired, take inspired action, and get inspired results. A lot of this has to do with personal and spiritual growth. I offer both personal and spiritual growth in the Inspired Creator community. The link is up above. If you're interested in that, check it out. There is personal growth training, personal growth coaching in the form of certified high performance coaching, the world-class, science-backed, research-backed, results-oriented, proven program for personal growth. And I also offer spiritual training called Inspired Results Trainings, as well as Inspired Results Coaching, which is a combination of my more spiritual take on personal growth and with personal growth. Anyway, all of that's in the Inspired Creator community. Click above if you're interested. It would be my honor to serve you and to help you connect with your soul and to live a life that feeds your soul. Until I talk to you next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results.